We're kicking off with WWE NXT as Ricky Starks made his stunning debut, but fans were quick to notice that neither he, nor the commentators, nor WWE's social media team have said his name. According to a report from Steven Mielhausen, WWE's deal with Starks came together so quickly that no merchandise has been made for him yet, which is why his name hasn't been used. In May 2024, Starks trademarked Ricky Starks through his company Dream Palace LLC, though it's unclear whether he'll keep the name or have a different name as a WWE talent. Fightful Select adds that WWE not using Starks' name was not an accident, and Starks joined NXT instead of an immediate main roster run, as NXT offers him more flexibility. While that may be the case, Starks' NXT role did result in him withdrawing from TCW Live's event set for this Saturday, where he was supposed to take on Aaron Solo. The flexibility of NXT allowed for Starks to be worked into the show immediately, and what did you think of his debut? Should he still be Ricky Starks, or use a different name? Sound off below. In recent months, Drew McIntyre made it clear that he was targeting the Usos, Sami Zayn, and Roman Reigns, vowing to dismantle those in the original bloodline. Alongside CM Punk, these men were among McIntyre's biggest rivals, though Drew was recently moved to SmackDown with plans of a Damian Priest feud and a collision at WrestleMania. A spot in the Men's Royal Rumble was planned to ignite this feud, but LA Knight's involvement seemingly disrupted those plans, which allegedly led to real heat between Drew and Knight. McIntyre reportedly felt the feud with Priest was not big enough considering all he'd done in 2024, and there was a fan backlash online similarly against the idea of this feud. After his acclaimed feud with CM Punk, many want to see more opportunities for Drew, and this heat with Knight is the perfect opportunity for WWE to change course. Now those tensions could evolve into an on-screen rivalry, as on Twitter, McIntyre took a jab at Knight with a video of a person supposedly getting a tattoo. When the phone was wiped away, there was no tattoo, and McIntyre mockingly claimed the fan had inked all of Knight's WWE World title wins, of which there are none. LA Knight has since fired back, as the megastar said that speaking of empty spaces, thanks for the free rent inside that big head of yours. The two stars are now exchanging shots online, further fueling speculation of an impending feud for Mania instead of McIntyre versus Priest as first planned. McIntyre defeated Knight last week in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, and should he win the Chamber, he'll face Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE title at WrestleMania. However, that seems unlikely at this time, with many predicting CM Punk or John Cena will face Rhodes in April, leaving McIntyre free to work with Knight if WWE chooses to go this way. While WWE's plans can always change, the ongoing social media exchanges suggest that Drew McIntyre and LA Knight may be on a collision course in the near future. Should WWE go on ahead with LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre, or should they stick with Damian Priest instead? Give your thoughts down in the comments section. Elimination Chamber is just weeks away, and WWE will need to begin filling the card soon, and now it appears that a major title bout could be taking place in Toronto. During a recent episode of Live Q&A on Backstage Pass, WrestleVotes shared that there has been rumblings that Shinsuke Nakamura could have a US title match at the PLE. There's no word on an opponent, but this would be a huge showcase for Nakamura, who has had just one televised title match since winning the gold at Survivor Series in November. That match saw Nakamura retain via disqualification against LA Knight, and perhaps WWE could have an open challenge set for Elimination Chamber to decide his challenger. Would you like to see the title defended in an open challenge? Perhaps someone like Aleister Black should answer now his AEW run has ended. Share your thoughts down below. We've got a huge update on Vince McMahon, as federal prosecutors in Manhattan have dropped their criminal investigation into the former WWE chairman. The investigation was to determine if McMahon broke the law and attempted to cover up multiple allegations of sexual misconduct by two former WWE employees. Speaking to the New York Post, McMahon's lawyer Robert W. Allen shared that the investigation into McMahon concluded as their side had expected. He said, "This is simply the result of an appeal of a procedural matter that was argued 5 months ago. We have been in consistent communication with the government since that time and understand with no ambiguity that the investigation has definitively concluded and will not result in charges." A ruling from appeals judges on Friday, February 7th revealed that the grand jury had investigated whether McMahon broke the law by concealing allegations of misconduct by the two women. McMahon would ultimately pay the pair $10.5 million in settlements, and this news comes after McMahon settled charges with the SEC on January 10th. That was related to McMahon having undisclosed payments, with the billionaire agreeing to pay a $400,000 civil penalty and reimburse WWE $1.33 million. At the same time, McMahon declared the matter closed, though the lawsuit filed by Janelle Grant in early 2024 against McMahon, Laurinaitis, and WWE remains active. Grant has accused McMahon of trafficking and abuse, though this lawsuit was paused for 6 months in mid-2024 so that federal investigators could gather evidence. The lawsuit resumed in December 2024, and we'll have to see how this legal battle plays out, and despite the victory this week, McMahon's legal issues are clearly far from over. Do you think Vince McMahon will ever return to wrestling, or is his time in the industry officially over? Share your thoughts in the comments. At New Japan's New Beginning in Osaka event, Great Okan faced Shota Umino, and after Okan got the win, he humiliated his opponent even further. As this was a hair versus hair match, Okan produced some shears to shave his opponent, but Umino didn't want anyone else touching his head for the final few moments with hair. He stopped Okan and decided to do the deed himself, and as he stared at the ground in defeat, Umino shaved his head with the clippers and once finished, collapsed to the mat. Umino was pictured being helped out of the arena with his newly shaved head, and this marks Umino's 5th straight loss to Okan, with the previous 4 being in 6-person tag matches. But why did Umino agree to lose his hair? Well, fans have speculated that the hair was damaged from all the bleaching, and shaving it allows for Umino to change his character. Umino can undergo a character change while waiting for his healthy hair to grow out again, and whatever the reason, fans were shocked to see him lose his locks in Osaka, Japan. Since arriving in WWE on the January 13th Raw, Penta has been a hit with fans, but despite his popularity, the masked star was nowhere to be seen on this week's Raw. Though Penta wasn't on Raw, he was in action this past Monday as he defeated Grayson Waller on WWE Main Event mere days before Waller competed for the NXT title at Vengeance Day. While Penta getting another win is hardly a bad thing, having it be on Main Event is a strange call given how the show is typically saved for talent far lower down on the card. Similarly, it is strange to have Waller, who could be days away from becoming one of WWE's top 3 champions, not only be on WWE Main Event, but also to lose his match. Though it was on Main Event, WWE shared a post-match celebration Penta had with San Francisco 49ers George Kittle, who is a known wrestling fan and mega fan of Penta. It's possible Penta was kept off Raw so he could sell the effects of last week's beatdown by Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne, or perhaps WWE just didn't have time for him this week. Penta was in a vignette this week on Raw where he warned Kaiser and Dunne that he's coming for revenge, but it was only on WWE Main Event that fans got to see the masked star in action. Over to AEW Dynamite as Jon Moxley agreed to face Adam Copeland with the AEW World title on the line at next month's Revolution pay-per-view in Los Angeles. During Dynamite, Cope was able to take out Moxley with a steel chair, and when Marina Shafir tried to hit him with the briefcase that holds the title, Cope snatched the briefcase away. Cope and Jay White then locked Shafir in a room before walking about with the case and the AEW World title in their possession. The title hasn't been seen since AEW Wrestle Dream, where Moxley won the gold from Bryan Danielson and has been in the briefcase Shafir had been carrying around ever since. Later in the show, Cope and White threatened to crack open the briefcase with Spike, which is a spiked 2x4, but Moxley arrived and agreed to Cope's challenge for a world title match at Revolution. Cope then smashed the lock on the briefcase as the Death Riders arrived in full, and the group ambushed Cope and White, reclaiming the briefcase, but the AEW World title was seen. Despite the numbers, Cope and White would ultimately stand tall, and though Moxley nearly used Spike on White, Cope caught him with a spear. This was an effective way to keep this angle going, as the briefcase has been an issue for many fans, so teasing opening it was a great hook to keep fans interested. It's odd for AEW to suddenly commit to Cope and White as a duo over FTR, especially as the partnership between Cope and the Switchblade remains tenuous. Perhaps this is building to a fun twist and White turning on Cope either before or at Revolution, and ultimately, this show accomplished its goal of making Cope vs. Mox official. The challenge now is making this feud, which in theory should have been AEW's top angle, feel bigger than Swerve Strickland vs. Ricochet or Hangman Adam Page vs. MJF. Cope is focused on becoming AEW World Champion and will have his chance at Revolution on March 9th, but don't expect the Death Riders to make things easy for the Rated R superstar. In trios title action, the Death Riders took on the Undisputed Kingdom, and after a distraction by Claudio Castagnoli and Pac to the referee, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong played a key role. The distraction allowed for Wheeler Yuta to get a low blow on Kyle O'Reilly to get the win in this match that saw the crowd heavily behind the Undisputed Kingdom, especially Strong's hot tag sequence. The Death Riders tried to take cheap shots after the match, but the trio of Daniel Garcia, Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and Cool Hand Angelo Parker made the save. As expected, 6 of AEW's top workhorse wrestlers delivered an exciting match, showcasing strong chemistry and reinforcing the strength of the division while hinting at future storylines. While this wasn't the moment for the Death Riders to lose their titles, the Undisputed Kingdom could emerge as a serious threat going forward. The Trios division has thankfully seen a resurgence, particularly on Collision, where the Undisputed Kingdom has been securing wins ahead of this title match. That being said, the division still requires consistent focus, and this was the Death Riders' first title defense since November, despite being regularly on TV. Hopefully that changes and we get more title defenses from the Death Riders to continue the momentum of the Trios division. Chris Jericho called out Bandido, who was jumped by Brian Keith in a sneak attack, only for the Outrunners to intervene and drive off the Learning Tree and Bad Apple. Big Bill then threatened to take down Bandido on his own, but Powerhouse Hobbs arrived just in time to plant the Redwood with a slam, further intensifying their rivalry. The battle lines are now clearly drawn between the Learning Tree and their rivals, and this storyline has been particularly effective in elevating the babyfaces, especially Hobbs. The Powerhouse has been a dominant force whenever he clashes with Bill, making a future match between them a potential main event or pay-per-view attraction. Meanwhile, Bandido's bounty hunter persona has helped him quickly regain momentum on the roster. If this trajectory continues, it could lead him to a shot at the ROH World title. Jericho, who ran down the Bad Apple backstage after failing to take out Bandido on Collision, has held the gold for long enough, and to many, it's time for his reign to end. In our opening match, Max Caster's open challenge was accepted by Hangman Page, and Caster attempted to evade the cowboy by hiding in the crowd. Page dragged him into the ring and put him away with a buckshot lariat, and served as a quick and effective conclusion to last week's conflict between Page and Caster. The match lasted as long as it needed to, and while the best wrestler alive continues to struggle in his weekly opening challenges, he is at least maintaining regular TV time. Caster is adapting to life post the Acclaimed, and hopefully Anthony Bowens will receive a spotlight soon, as he remains the most likely breakout star from the former tag team. Ricochet said he's moving on to bigger and better things than Swerve Strickland, and while Swerve vowed eye for an eye payback, Prince Nana cut him off to say that they need to focus on business. MJF was pushed to the brink by Dustin Rhodes, but after hitting the natural with his own final reckoning, MJF got the salt of the earth and then a crossface for a technical knockout victory. After the match, Hangman Page interrupted MJF's promo and the pair traded verbal shots, with MJF sneering that Page smelled like Jack Daniels before calling him a joke. MJF also called Page a joke who's lost his friend's insanity, all over a demand for an apology, and claimed he'll become a two-time AEW World Champion, something Page has failed to do. Hangman stormed back and the two started brawling through the crowd as fans chanted "let them fight," but security intervened to try and break the pair up. MJF called Page a coward as he was pulled away, but the cowboy charged back into the ring, kicking off the second round of their brawl. With the AEW World Championship in the sights of both men, the fight is far from over, as both MJF and Page want to take a huge leap to another title opportunity. With the AEW World Tag Team titles on the line, the Guns put up a stronger fight than expected against the Hurt Syndicate, but an emphatic spear from Bobby Lashley secured the win. MVP went off on commentary for not setting up a booth so he could join them, once again developing the character as the Hurt Syndicate's voice. After the match, Brian Cage and Lance Archer appeared, applauding the champions while making it clear they were eyeing a future title shot. The lively crowd in Austin played a major role in elevating this match by rallying behind Austin and Colton Gunn, even if the result always seemed like a foregone conclusion. The crowd were divided early on, with loud "We Hurt People" chants and "Guns Up" chants dueling, showing just how invested fans were in this title match. While the in-ring action wasn't groundbreaking, both teams effectively fed off the crowd's energy, and with this win, Lashley and Benjamin made a strong first statement as champions. The Hurt Syndicate's ability to adapt as either heels or faces depending on the opponent sets the stage for the faction to control the tag division for a long time, with plenty of fresh challengers. Over to TNA, which has experienced a major leadership change with a new president, an Emmy-winning executive producer, and the departure of two veterans exiting the company. In an official statement released Wednesday evening, TNA confirmed that Carlos Silva has been appointed as president, while George Veras has been named executive producer of Anthem. Anthem is TNA's parent company, and Veras is a 10-time Emmy Award winner and the president and CEO of Pro Football Hall of Fame Enterprises and president of Veras Communications. The biggest surprises, though, came with the departures of Josh Mathews and Christy Hemme, both of whom had been with TNA for a very long time. Mathews has served in multiple roles, including commentator and producer, while Hemme has made her mark as a ring announcer and backstage personality. TNA has not given details regarding the exits of either name, but told PW Insider, "Josh Mathews and Christy Hemme are no longer with the company. We appreciate their commitment to TNA throughout the years and wish them well in their future endeavors." This follows a wave of departures from TNA Wrestling that began just before Final Resolution, when Rhino confirmed that the event would be his last for TNA, though he wasn't retiring. On December 17th, it was reported that Trent Seven and Kushida were leaving, as well as ring announcer Jade Chung, who announced that she would not be renewing her contract. Former TNA World Champion Josh Alexander also previously revealed that he would become a free agent in February, with tonight's Impact set to feature his final match with the company. These changes certainly raise questions about TNA's future as the company continues to rebrand and reposition itself in wrestling, now as an official partner as WWE. What do you think about TNA's latest shakeup? Will these moves strengthen or weaken the company? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. For years, Demolition were one of WWE's most dangerous and successful tag teams, and this week there was plenty of excitement about the legendary group. WWE has added the bio back to the alumni section for Demolition on their website, leaving fans to speculate as to a potential Hall of Fame induction for Axe and Smash. It's unclear when or why WWE removed Demolition to the alumni section, though the pair were part of a class action lawsuit against WWE alongside other wrestlers in July 2016. With WrestleMania season underway, this could certainly be setting up a Hall of Fame induction for one of the most legendary tag teams in all of WWE history. Or from AEW, as after weeks of battling the patriarchy, the trio of Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata picked up a huge win on this week's Dynamite. After that, Samoa Joe laid down a challenge and declared that he, Hook, and Shibata are now known as the Ops and are ready to continue warring with Christian Cage's faction. This war has been heating up fast, with the Ops attacking Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian on last week's Dynamite inside Cage's locker room. Joe challenged the Patriarchy to a trios match on next week's Dynamite, and with AEW Grand Slam Australia set for this Saturday, the Ops are making their presence felt at a pivotal time. Maya World could barely touch Megan Bayne in their match on Dynamite, as Bayne got the quick win with a sit-out F5. This was another squash match on a night with multiple, but AEW is not only keeping Bayne relevant, but having multiple women's matches on Dynamite is always good. These squash matches have made their point for Bayne, but now it's time for her to do more, and it seems to be the plan after teases of feuds with both Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander. In fact, Statlander interrupted Bayne's exit so she could make her entrance, and while Penelope Ford showed off her speed and athletic prowess, Statlander's raw power proved too much. Statlander got the win with Wednesday Night Fever, but afterwards, Ford knocked Chris out of the ring, followed by Bayne laying her out with an F5. It wasn't fully clear in the moment, but Excalibur teased on commentary that Ford and Bayne could work together given that they have developed mutual enemies as of late. Given that Chris's win was never in much doubt, Ford did the most she could to stand out in this match, and this was as good as she's looked since returning. Statlander continues to prove to be the best matchup for many on the roster, and it feels like AEW's women's division has never been stronger. There's simply no more room on Dynamite or Collision to limit the opportunities for the women, and Statlander was missed during her recent absence, which lasted for a few weeks. Now AEW has set the stage for her next rivalry against Bayne, which promises to be special, as AEW has done enough to sell her as the new powerhouse ready to take on the standard bearer. And we're ending with Harley Cameron, who delivered a rap to Mercedes Moné using the CEO's own theme song, but shut the video down to get serious. Cameron spoke about facing Moné at Grand Slam Australia and what competing for the TBS title in her native country means to her, demonstrating a motivation behind the popular star. And that was this week's AEW Dynamite, and what did you make of the show? Let us know down in the comments section, and as always, thanks for watching.